So today's event is basically an info session. It's going to take about 40 minutes, I would say. I'll try to keep it brief and I'll try to be as informative as I can. So today we're going to be talking about the solution challenge. So this is an event that I had spoken briefly about in the first event, the first meet that we had organized back when the club was established in this college. So, what is the solution challenge, right? So, the solution challenge is it's a hackathon. It's a global hackathon by Google for members of Google Developer Student Clubs around the world, right? So, from all countries around the world who have GDSCs, their members can form teams and participate in the hackathons, and then the teams eventually get shortlisted first, the top 50, and then the top 10, and finally they get three winners, right? So I'm going to go in depth about all of that very soon in the event, and there is also a surprise announcement for all of you at the end. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And during the session, if you have any questions, the Q&A chat is open, the Q&A tab. If you can feel free to drop your questions over there, and we'll address all of the questions at the end. Okay, so moving ahead, this is an overview of what the other things that we are going to be covering today. So let's just get started. Firstly, what is the aim of this hackathon, right? So, unlike a lot of hackathons, the solution challenge does not give you an outright problem statement to solve. Instead, it aims to solve the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and it aims to do this using Google technologies. What that means is the United Nations has put forth a number of these sustainable development goals for a long time now. And the aim is to use at least one Google technology in your solution, which you will be using to address one of these or more of these goals, right? So I'll just play a short 1 minute video, I think, if my internet permits, and that will give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so that should give you sort of an idea of what the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are. And don't worry, you don't need to take notes during the event. The whole presentation will be shared with all of you in Discord and on email after the event, so you can go through everything after that. So I'll just be moving on. The prizes for the winners of the event. So starting with your primary submission, which you will do uh, before March 31st, you need to submit your solution, and then the top 50 from there are selected, right? This is done by judges comprising of Google developer experts, engineers who are working at Google right now, and program managers all of them. The 50 selected teams, uh, they receive a T-shirt, a branded T-shirt from Google, a certificate of appreciation, and most importantly, in my opinion, a mentorship from engineers who work currently at Google. So after the top 50 stage, there's a second round of selections done, after which you have the top 10 finalists, right? So the top 10 finalists get some tracks from Google and continued mentorship as the top 50, and including, uh, but not limited to, a spot in the demo day. So what a demo day is, I'll get into that also a little bit later. But in short, a demo day is where you present your solution in front of uh, everybody at a global level GDSC event. Um, and after that, you have the top three winners who receive a cash prize of $3,000, and they also get featured on Google's developer blog. Uh, and also, in addition to all of this, there will be seven teams from the top 10 finalists who will receive a cash prize of $1,000 per student. So I'm going to be covering the structure of the team and all of that a little bit later in the presentation. So uh, a lot of things will be cleared up very soon. Moving ahead, let's talk about the judging criteria for this event, this solution challenge. So there, as you can see from the slide, the points are out of 100, and they are split into two parts of 60 and 40. So 60 points are allotted for impact, which is uh, how well do you solve a particular problem, right? You're going to be addressing a UN sustainable development goal, and how well do you address the problem? What is the efficiency of your solution, right? So that's all about impact. And technology, of course, your solution can't be very impactful and not technology based, right? It's a GDSC event. You need to be both impactful and very efficient with the technology that you use. So that 40 points are allotted to technology and 60 to impact, as stated before. So, moving ahead, we will take a look at the timeline of the event. So, the registrations for the solution challenge are already underway. Um, and I'll just paste a link in the chat to the solution challenge page from where you can register for the event. So, just give me a second to do that. Right. There you go. The link in the chat you can use to find the registration form for the challenge. And I will recommend you to register as soon as possible, form a team, um, and register for the challenge. Okay. So I'll just talk about the team structure and team formation for a minute. So this is a team event. You need to have a team of at most four participants in one team. Okay, so you can reach out to anyone, your classmates, your friends from other colleges, uh, anyone really. But they need to be a student, and they need to be a member of your Google Developer Student Club. So, for example, say you want to partner up with your friend who is in a college which does not have a Google Developer Student Club, or which has a different Google Developer Student Club, right? So you can ask them to join GDSC RCC IIT by going to the website. Uh, if if you need, Shobit, could you please paste the link to become a member in the chat in case someone might require. So you can ask your friend to become a member, and then you can take part as a team. That's not a problem. Okay, so I'll just go through the timeline with you one by one. So the first step is to join a Google Developer Student Club, which I think most of you is have already done. In case you haven't, make sure you join the club and you become a member on the GDSC event platform. Yeah, Shod has just posted a link in the chat which you can use. You'll find a become a member button there. You can follow the directions from there to join the club. So after you have become a part of a Google Developer Student Club, right? Now you need to register for the solution challenge. Uh, I'm not pasting the link of the forum here because you can just find it on the solution challenge homepage that I posted a while back. You can just go on that website. You'll find register for the event a button, and you can find the same form there. Okay, so the next step is to form a team, as I previously said. So it's a team event. You need to form a team of at least 4 individuals who will be participating, and you can build your solution with your team. But however, all of you, regardless of how many people you have in your team, need to register individually. So you say you have 4 people who are participating in your team. All 4 of you need to register on the Solution Challenge website individually, and you will receive all your instructions in the form of an email after you register. Okay, so the first step is to register individually. Then you need to select what sustainable development goal you want to work on. So there are a bunch, for example, uh, health and well-being, gender equality, uh, poverty, nourishment, and a lot of, there are 17 in total. You can choose to address one of them or one more than one of them, but your solution must address at least one of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. That's the idea. So after you're done with that, you need to build your solution, right? And after you build your solution, you need to test your solution and you need to scale your solution. But those are things that come a lot later in the development timeline in general. So that's something I'll get into later as well. But moving on with the timeline, before March 31st, 2022, uh, actually between 15th March and 31st March, you can submit your solution in the form of a demo video, which demonstrates how your solution helps achieve a sustainable development goal and how it can be used by any potential users who might find your product useful. And after that, after your submission, in around mid-April, you'll get the results, the first batch of results, where you get the top 50, and then you get the top 10, and then you finally get the top 3, so on and so forth. You can take a look at the timeline here, and you can take a look at the presentation after the event as well for the same thing. So moving on, here are some overview videos of the solution challenge. I'm just going to play one of them, but you can take a look at all of these. All of them are available on YouTube, and you can take a look at the presentation later as well. All right, so that gives you an idea of what the solution challenge is, right? So now uh, I'll just take a moment to introduce you to some of the past participants of the solution challenge, the finalists, in fact. And among the finalists, you will find two teams from our country. This is the solution challenge of last year, 2021. So you will find two Indian teams in the top 10, in fact. And one of the teams that I want to talk about made a project called Eye of God. So you can read up on it and you can also watch their demo day video. So they created a navigation system for visually impaired people, which they refer to as a virtual cane for them, which helps them to commute around the city and uh, go about on their own, basically. That was the idea. So they built it and they, in fact, won the event among the top three, which comprised of two Indian teams. So that's a bit of inspiration from for you, and like we're all hoping to see something similar this year as well. So moving on.
Hi everyone, I'm so
Well,
excited to be
so
back.
Right. So these are some resources that you can use for your benefit. So, as I said before, one of the important points of the solution challenge is that you need to build your solution using at least one Google technology, right? So, in case some of you are not familiar with the technology that you want to be using, or you are a beginner, which I think a lot of you are, uh, maybe it's even the first time participating in a hackathon for a lot of you. Uh, so that's why these are the resources that you can use. I will be pasting the link in the chat. So you can do self-paced pathways and code labs for all these technologies, and you'll be learning all of them from scratch. So uh, you can learn the technology, build your solution, and that's how you can participate in the event. So I'll just paste the link in the chat right now. Yep. So that's the link you can use to avail all these resources. And of course, you can find this from the presentation later as well. Okay, so moving on. Uh, Now, design sprint kit. This is something a little bit advanced, I would say, but it's an important concept to know. So I'll just talk about. Let me ask something to all of you. When I talk about building a project, what do I mean by validating the project, or let's say testing the project? What do I mean by it? What is the objective of testing a project? Any answers in the chat, please? Finding bugs, that's a very good point. Okay, I see some answers coming in. Testing it on real-time use cases. Shanko, that's a good point as well. Uh, does the project work as bugs again? Yes. It's working or not, to see how it performs, to check if it's actually helping people or not. Yes, this is the point I was looking for. So say you want to build, taking an example, you want to build something that helps a farmer sort out bad crops from good crops. Say you built a machine learning solution and you built a screening machine that sorts out the bad crops and the good crops. Okay. Now this idea sounds good in your head. You make a prototype of it. It works. Okay. All's good. But before you can send it out to the real world in the form of a real product, you need to know how well it's going to do and how scalable it is, right? You need to think about how the challenges that are going to be faced in the real world as opposed to your lab settings, let's say, because they are very it's very unlikely that you will replicate the real world exactly, but you need to anticipate the problems that might occur. So, as a lot of you pointed out, bugs, of course, bugs in your code, you need to uh, troubleshoot all of that. And most importantly, you need to see if it's actually making a difference, if it's actually helping someone, uh, it's actually achieving the thing that you set out to achieve. That's the most important. So the design sprint kit helps you with learning some of those concepts, which once again I'm going to paste the link in the chat if you want to uh, go through it. Uh, Even if you think this is a bit advanced for you, exposure to these concepts will greatly help you. Uh, Even if not now, it will definitely help you in the long run. So yeah, the link is in the chat. You can definitely go through it. Okay, so moving on. So once again, these are some tutorial videos about the same thing that was mentioned in the last slide. The Just a second. Yes, I will be sharing the whole presentation very soon after the event, so no need to worry about that. So these tutorial videos, you can take a look at it when I share the presentation with all of you. It basically discusses the same thing about how to validate and test your solution. Okay, so I'll just be moving on from here.
As technologists, we
Okay, so moving on to some frequently asked questions that a lot of participants have about the solution challenge. So let's just go through them one by one. So firstly, can my solution solve a problem outside of the scope of the 17 sustainable developer goals? So, as I said before, the aim of the solution challenge is to address one or more United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So, addressing one of these SDGs, as they say, is a compulsory requirement for participating. So, instead of having a particular problem statement, it's open ended, but this is one requirement that needs to be met. Okay. So the next one, can one student or team submit with multiple submissions if they've contributed to both projects? So in this particular event, you cannot be a part of two teams at once. So you need to submit one solution as a part of one team. And I don't think they will make any changes to that rule. It's always been this way. So that's something to keep in mind. So the next one is, can I still participate in the solution challenge if there is no developer student club at my university? I think this doesn't apply to a lot of you because all of you are part of the club at our campus. But in case you're not, as I said before, you can just go to the website, become a member, and you're free to participate. And given the implications of social distancing, our ability to test with users was impacted. With all the judges, will the judges consider this? Right. So, yeah, this is an important question that a lot of you might be having. So, one thing that I will say, if you can't test with users because of the pandemic, mention that in your demo video when you submit your solution, okay, so that the judges know that these are problems that you faced and they can consider them. So that is something to keep in mind. So okay, once again, what participants have said about the Google technologies in the past, this is a little bit of inspiration for you as well. So you can just read through this and see what some of the previous years participants said about the technology that they use to build their solutions. Right? So moving on, the demo day. So what a demo day is when you come live either in person or online on a video call like right now, and you present your solution. You talk about what problem you're addressing, how your solution helps that problem, how you came up with it, what are the steps you took to build it, what are the problems you faced, uh, how you have tested it, how you have scaled your solution, what users have given us their feedbacks, all of that. You present your solution. So that is the demo day. So the demo day for the last year's solution challenge 2021, that's available on YouTube as well. Uh, the whole thing is available, so you can just watch it if you haven't already. Uh, I think you'll learn a lot and get inspired as well. So make sure you do that. Moving on. So I've summed up pretty much everything that I had to do about the solution challenge. I will be taking all of your questions very soon. You can start putting them in the Q&A chat if you want already. Um, so one thing that I want to mention here is that it's very easy to get intimidated by the things I said today, right? Uh, I mean, I already see a drop in the attendance. Uh, but the thing is, even if you're a first time hackathon participant, you have zero experience of it, you should still participate. I'll tell you why. It's not about coming in the top 50 or coming in the top 10 and winning. To be honest, especially if you're in your first year or in your second year, it's much, much more about learning along the way. And this is the kind of learning that you get while working hands on a project, while encountering problems in real time, working with other people, other developers. These are the problems that the college is not going to teach you, and these are the problems that you will encounter when you actually work. So such events are an amazing platform for you to hone your skills, to understand how to deal with these problems and work in uh, the closest thing to a professional environment. So, uh, all of you, I'm going to ask all of you to just take part, register, take part in the event, and I can promise you that you will learn a lot out of it, if not anything else. Okay, so as we come to the end of the event, a lot of you might be wondering that there was something promised at the start, a surprise announcement. And anyone wants to take a guess at what it can be? Any guesses, please? The only hint I can give is it's an event. It's an event announcement, offline event. Maybe let's see. Okay, so a lot of you are saying offline event. I'll just break it right now. So this is the announcement. It's not an offline event, unfortunately, but it is something that I'm pretty sure will get a lot of you excited. We're calling this Hack Overflow. This is a club level hackathon for all of you. The idea is that once again, since a lot of you are beginners and needs some sort of mentorship for whatever you're deciding to build, we've organized this club level hackathon, which will be introduced formally very soon. And to motivate all of you to take part in this as well, we are planning to give away swags for participation as well, uh, along with the swags for winners. And we'll also be having mentorship for the teams that decided to take part by alumni of this college and Google developer experts if possible. And as a part of this, we'll also be having sessions by Google developer experts very soon, in fact, in this month. So, uh, a lot of other information about this event will be given away very soon. So, that stay tuned for that event. Uh, and what I can say is uh, this will help you if you are uh, if you have an idea, right? You have an idea and you're not sure how to go ahead with building it, or even let's say you're having trouble identifying a solution to a particular problem. So all of that can be discussed and helped. All you have to do is to be present and participate actively, right? So with that, uh, I'll just take a look at the Q&A and let's answer some of the questions that you might have. You can start dropping in your questions, guys. Okay. Since in the steps there was mentioned about front end and back end, that means we need to know web development, right, for building the project. Uh, Rajoshi, not necessarily. So the thing is, any solution that you build, uh, chances are it will require a functioning backend as well, right? And a front end, of course, for the UI. So the idea is that even if you're using, say, TensorFlow to build something, or you're using Google Earth Engine, right? So there will be some backend APIs at use. So even if you don't know web development or working with these APIs, uh, you can, maybe your team member does, right? So you can take help from them. And no, there's no requirement that your solution needs to be a web-based solution. It can also be an Android solution, a Flutter solution, uh, or something else entirely. Or it can be maybe an API. You've built an API. It could be that as well. It's completely open-ended. Okay. So any more questions? You can put your questions in the Q&A again. I'll just wait for a couple of minutes if you have more questions. In the meantime, I'll just talk about the swags that we'll be giving away by the club. So, all the swags by the club for this upcoming event and previous ones will be given away uh, at the end of the term, at the end of this year's term of the club. Basically, at the end of my tenure as lead, uh, the swags will be distributed from the college campus, and all the winners will be notified way before, and you can come and collect them. Okay. Rajoshi is asking, can it be a simple script to run? Technically, yes, it can, but I would uh, advise you to build uh, a more complete solution instead of just building a script. Uh, but of course, it depends on what exactly are you building. So if you could tell me a little bit about that, I could maybe give you a little more advice. Uh, we can talk about this in Discord after this, but in general, it should be a complete solution. Okay, so do we have any more questions? Okay, looks like we don't have more questions today. So thank you all for attending today, and we conclude the session here. Stay tuned for an info session on Hack Overflow that we're going to be having very soon, and put on your hacker caps and let's build things. That's all I can say. So thank you all for attending today, and we're going to be meeting very soon after this. Thank you.